go to the next version of Hadoop. So I talked about this thing. So the landscape has changed a little bit, which is for the good, I think. So landscape has changed. The change is Spark has come into the center, which I was calling the Spark is the darling of the big data world now at this moment of time. Why is it so? I did this color painting some time back, and what I did is, remember, I said two things: storage and processing. The storage was this green thing, right? What Spark is, Apache Spark is a processing engine, right there. It's a processing engine. When it says processing, it is not going to do anything to the HDFS or HBase. It is attacking MapReduce. So the industry verdict is MapReduce is going to die. So if anybody is practicing MapReduce, please stop. Spark is going to take over. Doug Cutting himself came out and said in webinar, Spark is going to overtake. Google has stopped using MapReduce. They've told long time back. So Spark is going to replace MapReduce. But at the same time, there are companies who already have MapReduce. They installed it. They're using it. They're not going to change overnight. IT retiring something is very late, very difficult. It's working. Why do we want to change it? It's working, right? It's getting us money. So why do we change that? So many companies will still remain with MapReduce. 2 to 5 years, it will remain. But then eventually it has to die because nobody's putting effort in that. Everybody's putting in effort in Spark. And let me take this slide again and repaint it with the Spark's world, what is happening. So what Spark did is it changed too many things and made it different. How? It said, okay, instead of creating all these different tools, I'm going to create one tool, which is Spark. And it's replacing the MapReduce part of it and creating something called a Spark core, an engine underlying all this, and it is a Spark core. That's the main powerful engine which they've created. It's a very nice, elegant engine, easier to use and better to use, so why not take it, right? And then they came up with something called as a library concept. They build libraries on top of Spark core. So there is a library called Spark SQL, right? So Hive, similar to what Hive was doing, so Spark SQL is doing that. So it will replacing what Hive was doing. So instead of Hive, let's use Spark SQL. Actually, Hive can be used in Spark as well. Then there is something called Spark R. So whatever R connector was doing, Spark R can do it. Whatever Mahout was doing, Spark MLib, Spark's machine learning library can do it. On top of it, Spark also has some more libraries called streaming to get real-time stream data, the unstructured data. It can get that as well and process it at the same time. So Spark streaming is there. Then Spark has some more libraries which the original ecosystem didn't even have, like GraphX. So GraphX means it is not a graph like pie chart or bar chart. No, not that. It's the social graph. So Facebook uses it. This user is connected to this. And so you can be also a friend of that. So that is all graph engine. And Spark has a graph engine called as Spark GraphX. Libraries which Spark has created, there is something called as BlinkDB. And the main thing Spark has in this core is called RDD, which is equal to which is a replacement of Pig. So when I start painting this library concepts, and when you look at, oh, wow, Spark has taken over the whole processing world completely, right? And nothing is left from it. And it's better, it is all one thing. Instead of me learning Hive and Pig and this and that, I learn Spark. It's easy for the developers and the professionals. It's easy for the companies because companies want to run their business. They don't want to keep on changing technology, keep on updating Hive and Pig and this. One tool, the better for them. So that's why everybody is getting into Spark. So this is a new version of the world, ecosystem world, and how Spark has really transformed it and taken the center stage and a lot of the place. When I did that animation, I was like surprised myself. Wow, it's really covering a lot. So that's a good representation of what's happening now. On top of it, what few other changes or things are happening on top of the thing. It has made it faster by keeping all this data or the processing happening in memory. So everything is happening in memory, not in the backend device. It's a processing engine, so it's doing in memory and making it faster. Anything which is in memory, it's going to be faster. So keeping everything in memory. And remember MapReduce, I was saying it's only Java can be used. So Spark says, no, you can use Python. You can use Scala. There is another language. So you can use any of those languages. In fact, R also you can use. So many languages. So people Java, but no other language, they are also welcome in a way. So that's another good thing. And it takes this library approach, which I said, and it keeps on growing the libraries, which is much easier to digest, right? So these are some really good things which Spark is doing, apart from making it faster and better. And that's why Spark is the language, darling of the big data world.